Talk to yourself. Change your life. Have you ever found yourself caught in a relentless undertow of negative self-talk despite your accomplishments? Do whispering doubts and critical inner monologues keep you from savoring your successes? Imagine waking up, staring at the ceiling, already defeated by the anticipation of the day's challenges. Each one of us, at various points, has our inner critic as the loudest voice in the room of our minds. It's this personal narrator that can spin a tale of disaster from a single error, gloss over a triumph with undue modesty, or trap us in a cycle of rumination and regret over paths not taken. These aren't just fleeting thoughts. They frame our reality, script our interactions, and sculpt our self-perception. But what if I told you there's a way to turn the tide? A powerful yet often overlooked tool resides within us, our own self-talk. This isn't about unfounded optimism or masking problems with positivity. It's about cultivating an intentional inner voice that steers you toward empowerment, resilience, and growth. In the ensuing chapters of this audiobook, we unlock the secrets of transforming your inner dialogue. It's not a mystical art or a trait reserved for the fortunate few. It's an accessible skill that can be learned, practiced, and mastered. Let's cast aside the notion that our internal monologue is a mere whisper of consciousness. Our self-talk is a dynamic compass that can navigate us through life's storms. A personal coach who's there for the wins and the losses. A director who can rewrite a scene that didn't go as planned. We begin by laying the foundations of self-talk, and then we embark on crafting your inner voice. Not just a supportive chaperone, but a cheerleader that stands by your side through thick and thin. As we delve into the rhythm of reinforcement, you'll learn how to establish rituals and cues that make positive self-talk a staple of your daily routine. Skepticism might already be knocking at your door. How can something as simple as words murmured under your breath create measurable change? This skepticism is why, in Chapter 4, we address the keystone of transformation, emotionally charged language. Here I reveal the secret source of this entire endeavor. It's not just the words we repeat, but the emotions we invest in them that carve the deepest grooves in our neurological pathways. Of course, like any skill worth learning, there will be obstacles. Inner critics, self-doubt, and limiting beliefs are the dragons we must slay on this quest. Chapter 5 equips you with the swords and shields to do just that, providing practical strategies to dismantle these barriers. Moving beyond the inner realms, Chapter 6 elevates self-perception, applying self-talk techniques that boost confidence and fortify your self-image against the buffeting winds of external judgment. By Chapter 7, you're not just learning, you're living your truth. Practical applications of positive self-talk are threaded into your everyday life, strengthening the echo of success, reinforcing progress, and propelling you forward. On the back of reflective self-conversations, you're at the precipice of a personal revolution. This audiobook is your guide to harnessing the transformative power of self-conversation. So take the helm, command the narrative of your life with the power of your words. I invite you to join me on this journey, a journey that transcends mere self-improvement and reaches into the heart of the person you're meant to be. As we proceed, remember that each chapter is a stepping stone, each insight a tool for your arsenal. You'll not only gain understanding but also actionable wisdom, making each lesson not just educational but experiential. This is relevant in action. Skills for the board morph into wisdom for the soul. Professional strategies become personal, and a self-improvement guide transforms into a lifelong companion. Prepare to be challenged, to grow, and to change. But most importantly, prepare to be the author of your own inner dialogue, and in doing so, the creator of your destiny. Chapter 1. The Foundations of Self-Speech. Imagine a personal coach that follows you around 24/7, offering guidance, motivation, and instantaneous feedback. Now, what if I told you that you already have this resource available to you? It's your own self-talk, the inner monologue that narrates your life experiences and has the profound ability to shape your reality. Understanding the science of self-talk is about tuning into this coach, fine-tuning its messages, and harnessing its power to craft a life that you truly desire. Our brains are incessantly active, weaving narratives to interpret the constant stream of sensory information coming our way. These narratives are not just passive stories. They are dynamic scripts that influence our emotional responses, decision-making processes, behavior, and ultimately our well-being. Self-talk is the articulation of these underlying messages and beliefs. It's a psychological playbook that can either set us up for a win or lead us into a losing streak. This inner dialogue matters because it's fundamentally an expression of our cognitive processes, the lens through which we view ourselves and the world. It's the cognitive behaviorist conversation, both the echo and the origin of our deepest convictions. When we engage in self-talk, we are, in fact, activating various regions of our brain. Neuroscientific research has shed light on how language and thought interact, revealing that our internal communication triggers neural circuits associated with both cognition and emotion. The brain does not discriminate much between an idea voiced aloud by someone else and one that echoes in the silence of our mind. So when we feed ourselves affirmations or criticism, our brain processes these as real and actionable inputs. These inputs are capable of affecting our physiology in tangible ways, from the flutter of anxiety to the tranquil state before sleep. Brain imaging studies have shown that specific patterns of self-talk can ramp up the brain's stress response or, alternatively, elevate the zones involved in positive emotions. A central figure in these neural activities is the default mode network, a linked group of brain structures responsible for self-referential thoughts and feelings. When we engage in self-talk, this network is often firing on all cylinders, consolidating personal narratives and shaping our sense of identity. Negative self-talk tends to engage this network in a way that can lead to ruminative and destructive cycles, while positive self-talk can empower and reinforce our self-image in beneficial ways. But it's not just about being positive or negative, it's the subtleties in our self-talk that can most significantly impact our cognitive and emotional states. This internal chatter can guide us to be more goal-oriented, resilient, and empathetic, potentially improving our performance and interpersonal dynamics. The words we choose in this dialogue carry weight. Psycholinguistics, the study of language's psychological and neurobiological aspects, demonstrates that language holds more than just semantic meaning. It carries emotional nuance and implicit biases that can shape our behavior. For instance, using personal pronouns like I or me while engaging in self-talk tends to intensify emotional responses, making experiences feel more immediate and personal. Conversely, addressing oneself by name or with the pronoun you has been found to create a small distance that allows for self-regulation and better problem-solving.
But this is just the beginning. Cognitive neuroscience teaches us that the brain is capable of neuroplasticity, the ability to form and reorganize synaptic connections, especially in response to learning or experience. This principle empowers us with the hopeful message that, with persistent practice, self-talk can physically alter the brain for the better. By engaging in constructive self-talk, neural pathways associated with positive thinking are strengthened over time. These pathways can become the brain's default routes, thus shaping how we interpret and react to the world. This knowledge isn't just theoretical, it's experimental and practical as well. Consider the high-pressure environments athletes and performers thrive in. Sports psychology often underscores the significant role of self-talk in performance. Studies have observed that when athletes learn to control and optimize their internal monologues, their focus sharpens, and their performance often improves. Similarly, when public speakers rehearse with empowering self-statements, they experience less anxiety and deliver more compelling speeches. This also extends to the arena of personal health, where targeted self-talk plays a role in coping strategies for managing chronic conditions or adhering to health-improving behaviors. But let's apply this to a universal scenario, tackling everyday challenges. When you say things like, "I don't think I can do this," or "I'm not smart enough," you may not just be articulating a fleeting thought. You're laying down neural tracks that can lead to self-fulfilling prophecies. These thoughts can narrow your perceived capabilities and close off avenues to success. On the flip side, thoughtfully cultivating a narrative of self-efficacy and resilience, with phrases like, "I am capable of learning and growing," or "I will find a way to solve this problem," you are not just providing temporary solace but building a resilient and solution-oriented mindset. Understanding the science of self-talk opens a gateway to self-mastery and emotional regulation. By paying attention to and intentionally directing our inner dialogue, we find the tools to reprogram the patterns imprinted by past experiences and sculpt a psyche aligned with our aspirations and values. By developing an awareness of the content, tone, and implications of our self-conversations, we can use them to anchor us during turbulent times and propel us forward toward our goals. The journey of sharpening our self-talk is a transformative one. It begins with understanding the profound realization that the stories we tell ourselves in the silence of our minds can be as powerful as any external voice. As we further explore and build upon this foundation, taking full advantage of self-talk's potential becomes an engaging quest. We start to see the threads that connect our thoughts to our reality and learn how to weave them into a tapestry that reflects who we aspire to be. A firm grasp of the science behind our self-narratives is the crucial first step, not just for individual well-being but potentially for the flourishing of all our future endeavors. Have you ever paused to listen to the chatter inside your head and consider how it might be affecting your emotions and behaviors? The voice you hear, often without even realizing it, is part of a phenomenon we call self-talk. This conversation you have with yourself can be supportive or destructive, and it can influence every aspect of your life, from your confidence levels to the decisions you make every day. The language of the mind is complex. It involves your conscious thoughts, unconscious beliefs, memories, and emotions, all rolled into one internal dialogue. Think of your mind as a vast library, with each book representing different experiences, values, and lessons that influence your self-talk. Now, picture yourself wandering through the aisles of this library. You pick up a book, a thought, and it starts a chain reaction. The type of book or thought you choose can set the tone for your mood and actions. Our minds process these thoughts using two primary types of self-talk, negative and positive. Negative self-talk often manifests in absolutes like always and never, and it's generally critical and self-defeating. Phrases like, "I can't do this," or "I always mess up," reflect a pessimistic outlook and can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. This type of language isn't just disheartening, it can physically alter our brain's neural pathways, reinforcing defeatist attitudes and behaviors. Positive self-talk, on the other hand, is empowering and nurturing. It's characterized by words of encouragement, resilience, and flexibility. It recognizes the complexities of life and our capacity for growth. When you tell yourself, "I can learn from this," or "I'm doing the best I can," you're writing a hopeful narrative that can encourage positive change. This doesn't mean merely sugarcoating situations. It's about acknowledging challenges while maintaining firm belief in your abilities. Emotions play a critical role in the language of the mind, acting like a highlighter that emphasizes certain thoughts over others. For instance, an emotional experience tied to failure can make negative thoughts more pressing and true, even when they are not. Conversely, when positive thoughts are linked with strong positive emotions, they can be more convincing and compelling. Therefore, learning to harness emotions in your self-talk is key to reinforcing the self-beliefs that will serve your well-being and ambitions. The good thing is, just like learning a new skill or language, we can train our brains to default to positive self-talk through consistent practice. It begins with awareness. Simply noticing your inner voice and its tendencies is a significant first step. Once you're aware, you can then engage in exercises such as thought stopping, which involves interrupting negative self-talk as soon as you notice it, and thought replacement, where you consciously replace a negative thought with a positive one. When we start to catch ourselves in moments of negativity, reframing our thoughts can have a surprisingly powerful impact. For instance, rephrasing a thought from "I have to" "I get to" can transform a task from a burden to an opportunity. This simple substitution can rewire the emotional reaction you have to your daily responsibilities and challenges, turning dread into anticipation and even excitement. As we journey through the evolution of our inner voice, we encounter different aspects that influence its tone and quality. Cultural background, for example, can play a significant role in the type of self-talk we engage in. In some cultures, humility and self-criticism are seen as virtuous, which can lead to more negative self-talk, while in others, confidence and self-promotion are encouraged, possibly leading to more positive internal dialogues. Additionally, our family upbringing might influence whether we view the world through a lens of abundance or scarcity, impacting the tendencies of our self-talk. Another factor at play is our current state of mental and emotional health. When we are stressed, anxious, or depressed, our self-talk is likely to skew negative. Recognizing the interplay between our mental state and our self-talk can be enlightening and empowering. By addressing underlying mental and emotional issues with professional help when needed, we can slowly change the narrative and trajectory of our inner voice, steering it toward a more positive and supportive direction. Ultimately, the language of the mind is a potent tool for personal and professional advancement. By crafting and curating our self-talk with intentionality, we can significantly impact our motivation levels, emotional resilience, and the very outcomes of our life's pursuits. Next time you hear that inner voice, Take a moment to reflect on the words it uses. It's within your power to author a more supportive and empowering script for your life, and it all starts with the language of the mind. Chapter 2. Crafting Your Inner Voice. If you recall from our introduction, we talked about the transformative power of self-talk, how it can shape realities and influence outcomes. Here, in Crafting Your Inner Voice, is where the secret source of our entire conversation comes to full fruition. It's the solution you've been seeking, perhaps without even realizing it. The turning point where your thoughts become your allies and your mind becomes a nurturing space that propels you toward your dreams. This chapter is dedicated to turning the tide of your internal dialogue from potentially negative and self-defeating to overwhelmingly positive and empowering. Embarking on the process of shaping positive narratives isn't just about trying to think happy thoughts. It's a conscious effort to rewire the very fabric of your internal conversation. Imagine the narratives you tell yourself like seeds planted in the rich soil of your mind. If we continually sow seeds of doubt, fear, or criticism, then those are the plants that will take root, grow, and flourish. Conversely, when we sow seeds of confidence, hope, and encouragement, we will see those positive thoughts come to life and flourish within us. The language you use within your own mind is so powerful that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Have you ever heard someone say, "I'm so bad at remembering names"? Each time they say it, they entrench the idea deeper into their psyche, making it more difficult to break the pattern. However, if that sentiment were to change to, "I am improving at remembering names every day," a new narrative begins to form. The challenge is no longer an insurmountable fact but an area of potential growth and development. Through methods such as reframing, we can take the negative thought patterns that we've grown accustomed to and flip them on their heads. Reframing is essentially looking at a painting from a different angle and seeing an entirely new picture. A setback is no longer a failure. It's an opportunity to learn. The nervousness before a big presentation isn't just fear. It's also the excitement of sharing your knowledge with others and a sign that you care about doing well. This technique doesn't deny the existence of negative emotions or scenarios, but it offers a way to convert them into something constructive. Perhaps one of the most effective tactics to shape your inner narrative is the practice of mindfulness. By tuning into your internal dialogue at any given moment, you begin to notice patterns or recurring themes. As you become more aware of your thoughts, you can gently guide them toward a more positive narrative. Let's consider an example. You're stuck in traffic and late for an appointment. You could succumb to the frustration, feeling the tension building in your body. Or, you can use this as a moment to practice gratitude. You're safe in your car. You have the opportunity to observe the world around you, and perhaps listen to a piece of music or an informative podcast. Another cornerstone of cultivating a beneficial inner voice is the practice of self-compassion. Often, we speak to ourselves in ways we'd never dream of talking to others. Self-compassion encourages us to be as understanding and kind to ourselves as we would be to a good friend. When we stumble, we don't have to be our harshest critic. Instead, we can turn those self-criticisms into supportive self-statements that propel us forward. Even the simple act of using your own name can create some distance from the intense emotions and lend a perspective that is more compassionate. As we begin to alter our internal monologues, there's an undeniable truth we must confront. Change does not come overnight. These mental patterns have often been years in the making, and expecting them to turn around instantly sets us up for disappointment. But with gentle, consistent effort, the shifts will come. It's like steering a large ship. Even the smallest change in direction can lead to a vastly different destination over time. The mirror of the mind, as we call it, reflects what we think. Seeking out and absorbing positive, motivational content can nourish our self-talk. From books that inspire to people who uplift us, these sources act as a guide, reshaping our mindset and reinforcing the narratives we wish to internalize. Think of it as a diet for your brain, consuming mental nourishment that is enriching and wholesome, rather than junk food that bogs down your system with pessimism and doubt. In essence, the craft of sprouting a supportive inner voice is an art that requires patience, practice, and, above all, belief in its effectiveness. It involves recognizing the current state of your internal dialogues, conscientiously detaching from those that are harmful, and then intentionally constructing affirmations that build you up rather than tear you down. Each word of encouragement, every phrase that speaks to your aptitude and capability, strengthens your resolve and reshapes your world from the inside out. Consider it an investment in the most vital asset you possess, your mind. Your thoughts are the architects of your destiny, and you hold the power to design a life of joy, achievement, and fulfillment. This is where we dive into the essence of our secret source revealed in the introduction, the potent elixir of crafting our internal narrative. We've explored the foundations of our brain's endless chatter and the types of self-talk that can either lift us to the heights of confidence or plummet us into the depths of despair. Now is the moment to grasp the looking glass, so to speak, and reshape what we reflect upon ourselves. But how exactly does one go about constructing a supportive and motivational inner voice? An inner voice that not only whispers of your worth but also boldly declares the ownership of your personal power. Imagine, for a moment, an artist with a canvas, each stroke of the brush representing a thought spoken within the solitude of their mind. These internal musings paint our reality just as assuredly as the artist brings life to a blank canvas, confirming that the language we use with ourselves is the art form of personal evolution. Now, while it might seem preposterous to compare your inner monologue with Michelangelo, this analogy shines a light on the fact that we are all creators, artists of our internal dialogues. This artistry is not about crafting facades or delusions, but about framing truth in such a light that it encourages growth and ignites motivation. Operating under the understanding that our internal conversations can make such an indelible mark on our psyche, we must approach the reconfiguration of our inner voice with intention and care. The way to begin is with a keen awareness and attentiveness to our current mental script. Much like tuning an instrument, the key to producing harmonious self-talk lies in perceiving the subtle dissonance currently permeating our internal monologues. Do you find yourself berating your efforts, questioning your worth, or drowning in a deluge of should-haves and what-ifs? It's these tired old tunes that we need to rewrite into songs of empowerment and progress. Now, let's move from the metaphorical to the tangible. Painting a new mental picture starts with acknowledging the unwanted pattern of thinking. Recognize the dismissive or undermining narratives that swirl through your mind. Taking inventory, much like a gardener noting which plants no longer bloom, lets you establish your self-talk starting point. Recognizing these thoughts gives them less agency over your mood and behavior. Awareness is already a form of empowerment. Armed with this self-knowledge, you can then employ systematic techniques to rewrite the script. One such transformative technique is the practice of cognitive restructuring, a cornerstone of cognitive behavioral therapy. It involves identifying negative thought patterns and challenging their validity with evidence and logic. When you catch yourself in the clutches of negative self-talk, counter that thought with evidence of your abilities, your past successes, and your inherent worth. As with any habit, repetition is key. Consistently countering self-critical thoughts with affirmative ones begins to etch new pathways in the brain, and over time, these pathways become the new default. Another powerful tool at our disposal is the use of affirmations, positive statements about ourselves that we consciously choose to believe. Affirmations are like personalized mantras that carry significant weight, especially when they're imbued with personal relevance and emotional intensity. An affirmation doesn't have to be grandiose to be effective. It simply needs to resonate with you and align with your values and goals. The more we repeat these affirmations, the more we come to believe them, slowly transforming the very fabric of our self-perception. To make these affirmations stick, you can create rituals around your self-talk practices. Perhaps you stand in front of a mirror each morning, looking yourself in the eye as you assert your affirmations. Or maybe you write them down in a journal, giving them weight and permanence. These acts are like planting your flag on the mental landscape, marking the territory of positive change. As you continue this practice, you'll notice a shift not only in your self-talk but in your emotions and life outlook as well. When your inner voice speaks in tones that uplift rather than diminish, it amplifies your potential for personal growth and success. This change affects not only how you feel about yourself but also how you interact with the world. Opportunities are met with optimism, challenges with resilience, and self-doubt with a robust inner ally championing your cause. Moreover, fostering a supportive and motivational inner voice can reshape the dynamic of your external relationships. The way we communicate with ourselves often mirrors the way we engage with others. If we are kind, compassionate, and encouraging within, it follows that we'll be the same toward people in our lives. This creates a positive feedback loop, reinforcing our self-talk and solidifying our self-esteem. Employing emotionally charged language is not about indulging in fairy tale, like optimism. It's about harnessing the power of our emotions to create lasting change. Our brains are hardwired to respond to emotional stimuli. These are the currents that energize the neural pathways of transformation. Thus, when we engage in self-talk that's tied to genuine emotion, whether it's joy at an accomplishment, excitement for future potential, or love for the journey we're on, it anchors our affirmations more deeply within our mindset. Overcoming our inner skeptic is a part of this journey too. It's natural to have doubts, to hear that inner critic challenging the veracity of our affirmations. Acknowledge the skeptic. Understand its role in protecting you from disappointment or failure, but gently guide it toward the evidence of your growth and worth. Use your successes, no matter how small, as the building blocks of your self-belief. This is not a battle to be won but a dialogue to be directed toward a greater understanding and appreciation of your capabilities and potential. To sum it up, crafting a motivational and supportive inner voice is akin to nurturing a garden within your mind. Tend to it. Weed out the negativity. Plant the seeds of affirmations and water them with emotion and practice. Witness the blooming of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors as you grow more confident and capable, stemming from the fertilized soil of your positive self-talk. Before we move forward to Chapter 3, take a moment to reflect on the ideas presented here, on the ways in which you can shape your inner voice into a source of strength and encouragement. Remember, the language you use with yourself holds the power to transform your life's trajectory. As you look into the mirror of your mind, choose to see a reflection of someone who deserves happiness, success, and self-respect. Your journey of self-dialogue has just begun, and it's a path that leads to a richer, more fulfilling life experience. Chapter 3: The Rhythm of Reinforcement. Have you ever noticed how a catchy tune stays with you, playing on a loop in your mind, steering your mood throughout the day? This phenomenon isn't just reserved for music, it happens with the patterns of our thoughts too. Our mind loves a good rhythm, and when we repeat something often enough, be it a melody or a mantra, it begins to form an integral part of our subconscious soundtrack. This unwavering repetition is the essence of consistency, which, when applied to the realm of self-talk, becomes a dynamic tool in reinforcing the positive messages we wish to ingrain within ourselves. Now, let's consider how we might build such a rhythm into our daily lives to fortify our inner dialogue. A pivotal strategy is to lay down a foundation of cues, specific triggers that prompt us to engage in positive self-talk. These cues play a profound role, as they act not only as reminders but also as anchors, rooting the habit of positive self-speech firmly into our routine. Imagine the cues you encounter throughout your day following a predictable pattern. The alarm that wakes you up in the morning, the scent of freshly brewed coffee, the start of your commute, or the beginning of a workout. These ordinary, mundane parts of your schedule have the potential to be transformed into powerful catalysts for positive self-talk. For instance, when your alarm goes off, instead of the usual groan and the reflexive hit on the snooze button, what if you were to greet the day with a reinforcing thought? A simple, "Today is filled with possibility," can set a significantly different tone than grumbling about the ungodly hour. It might sound deceptively simple, almost verging on the trivial, but let's pause and examine the underlying mechanics. The consistency of a cue, like a morning alarm, is reliable. It happens daily. By attaching a new script to this cue, we begin to rewrite an autopilot response into a deliberate, energizing exchange with ourselves. Over time, this act becomes less of a conscious effort and more of the natural start to your day. A cue that has been effectively transformed into a ritual of self-reinforcement. But consistency isn't merely about frequency, it's also about the faithfulness with which we execute this practice. To illustrate the point, think about watering a plant. If you water it sporadically when you happen to remember, the plant might survive, but it will likely be lackluster and may even wither. However, when you water it consistently on schedule, it doesn't just survive, it thrives. Your self-talk regimen is much like tending to this plant. Nurturing your inner voice requires regular and attentive care. Moreover, the regularity of self-speak is intricate in its role as the rhythmic backdrop to your everyday life. The more you repeat positive affirmations with emotional conviction, the stronger the neural pathways that affirm your new belief system become. This reinforcement is the sonic boom for the positive narratives you're developing. But it helps to remember that just as a whisper doesn't have the same impact as words spoken with conviction, tepid affirmations won't have the same reinforcing power as those infused with genuine emotion and belief. In harnessing the full potential of these cues, there's also a considerable advantage in diversifying them. Spread out through the day, alongside activity-based cues like morning alarms and coffee smells, try incorporating situational cues, those sparked by feelings or thoughts. Perhaps when you feel doubt beginning to creep in, let that be a cue for a reinforcing phrase like, "I am capable and I grow with every challenge." The emotional cue, the moment of self-doubt, meets the rhythm of a reinforcing response, looping back into a powerful antidote to negative self-talk. It's also worth noting that the cues you choose needn't be vast in number or overly complicated. The beauty of this practice lies in its simplicity and personal significance. A cue can be as straightforward as the act of opening a workspace, an invitation to affirm, "I create value with my talents and efforts." Or maybe it's the act of turning the key in your door at the end of the day, a moment to reflect, "I have done my best today, and I am enough." By allowing the cues of your world to morph into the metronomes of your mind, setting the beat for a continuous pattern of empowering thoughts, you're not just practicing self-improvement. You're orchestrating a life symphony where your positive self-talk becomes the chorus that plays out in harmony with your actions. Through consistency, reinforced by the cues seamlessly woven into the fabric of your daily life, you're not only establishing a habit, you're also composing the rhythm of resilience and self-belief, belief that will guide you through the crescendos and the lulls of life's complex melodies. Remember, positive self-talk isn't a switch to be flipped, it's a muscle to be conditioned. Like the steady drumbeat of a song, let your deliberate, consistent practice maintain the rhythm, each recurring cue enhancing the dance of your daily thoughts and actions each. Repetition further entrenching the productive and supportive mindset that is the silent yet profound conductor of your internal orchestra. Imagine your favorite piece of music for a moment. Think about the way the tone, the tempo, and the volume, all characteristics of sound, come together to either energize or soothe you. This is not unlike the symphony of self that resonates within us through our self-talk. The effectiveness of our internal dialogue has a lot to do with how we conduct this symphony, the rhythm, the pitch, the intensity of our self-communication. Just as a melody can lift you up or cast you down, the rhythm of our self-talk can tune our emotional responses and consequently our behavior. Let's explore how the subtle dynamics of tone, tempo, and volume play out in the realm of self-talk. The tone of your internal conversation is like the emotional hue of your words. A supportive, compassionate tone can be a balm to self-doubt, while a harsh, critical tone can exacerbate feelings of worthlessness or anxiety. Just as a lullaby's gentle melody can soothe a child, tenderly spoken words within your mind can comfort and encourage you during times of stress or uncertainty. Conversely, consider the effect of a scornful or judgmental comment from someone else, how it might sting or unsettle you. If your inner voice adopts this tone, it can lead to a spiral of negative self-evaluation. Achieving a nurturing inner voice is about tapping into a tone that bolsters confidence and dismisses ridicule. The tempo of your self-talk, the speed at which you speak to yourself, also holds sway over your mindset. Rapid, hurried thoughts can instigate anxiety, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and rushed. Slowing down the tempo of your self-dialogue can help center and calm you, allowing space to process feelings and thoughts more fully. Like a steadying drumbeat that maintains the rhythm for an ensemble, a measured pace in your internal narrative provides stability and clarity, guiding you through your decision-making processes and daily interactions. Volume, too, is a critical component of how self-talk influences us. A voice that screams negativity inside your head, loud, intrusive, demanding attention, can be incredibly disquieting. Learning to turn down the volume of negative self-talk dampens its immediate impact, giving you room to introduce and amplify a more affirmative, soothing internal voice. Consider how a whisper can command more attention in a quiet room than a shout in a noisy environment. Turning down the volume on negative thoughts creates a similar space where positive, empowering messages can echo clearly. Understanding the roles of tone, tempo, and volume is vital in the endeavor of refining your self-talk. It is a bit like tuning an instrument. You're working to find the harmonious balance that sounds just right for you. When your internal symphony is finally tuned, it creates a sonorous backdrop for your daily life, fostering resilience and optimism. To weave this understanding into the fabric of your self-dialogue, begin by simply observing. Like a compassionate outsider, listen to your internal monologue without judgment. Note the tone. Is it harsh or kind? Pay attention to the tempo. Are your thoughts racing, or are they measured and calm? Consider the volume. Is your inner critic shouting, or is your supportive guide speaking in reassuring tones? Awareness is the first step toward change. Once you've tuned into the nuances of your self-talk, you can start conducting your inner symphony. Gently challenge the negative or critical tone by asking yourself, would I speak to someone else this way? If the answer is no, craft a kinder, softer way to speak to yourself, just as you would to a good friend. If your thoughts are racing, deliberately slow down your internal dialogue, much like a maestro slowing the tempo to enter a more reflective piece of a composition. Practice lowering the volume on negative thoughts until they become a distant murmur, allowing affirmations and positive ideas to be heard more distinctly. The implications of mastering this symphony of self are profound. With a positive and supportive self-talk routine grounded in an understanding of tone, tempo, and volume, you'll start to notice shifts in your emotional landscape. Decision-making may become less fraught with anxiety, creativity may flourish without the dampening effect of self-doubt, and your overall well-being may improve as you reinforce your capacity for resilience and adaptability. Remember, like learning to play an instrument or developing any skill, nurturing an effective rhythm of self-talk takes practice. It's an art that becomes richer the more you engage with it, exploring variations, experimenting with dynamics, and ultimately creating an inner dialogue that moves you through life with a sense of harmony and grace. Applying this deeper appreciation of the sound of your thoughts will help you bring forth a symphony of self that not only aligns with who you are but also with who you aspire to be. Your internal communication can either be a cacophony that disrupts your progress or a melody that propels you forward through conscious practice. You have the power to compose an empowering internal narrative, one that supports your growth, enhances your self-esteem, and enables you to navigate the complexities of life with confidence and poise. It may take time to perfect this craft, but as each day passes, your inner resonance will grow stronger, more distinct, and brilliantly in tune with the life you wish to lead. Chapter 4. The Keystone of Transformation. Have you ever felt a certain electricity in the air right before a storm, or the palpable tension in a room where an argument is about to erupt? That's resonance, the powerful and often unspoken energy that amplifies the impact of every element in an environment. Now imagine harnessing that raw, potent force within the sphere of your thoughts, specifically within your self-talk. Emotionally charged language serves as the conductor for this vibrational powerhouse, designed to create the strongest neural pathways for change in your mind and subsequently your life. Let's dive into the heart of what this means for you. Every thought you have, every word that rolls through your mind, carries an emotional payload, transmitting its unique frequency through the neural networks of your brain. Positive or negative, the emotional weight of your self-talk can lift you to exhilarating heights or sink you into despair. It's not just about the words themselves. The underlying emotions they evoke are crucial in deciding the strength and durability of the neural pathways they forge. Consider for a moment the difference in saying, "I might be able to do this," versus, "I am confident and capable of doing this." The first statement might be technically positive, but it carries a sense of uncertainty, a lack of conviction. It whispers, whereas the second statement resonates with self-assuredness and positivity. It rules with conviction. The neural pathways created by these two forms of self-talk are worlds apart. The first creates tentative connections, while the second blazes a trail in your mind, creating a superhighway of belief and certainty. It's this emotional resonance that imbues your self-talk with the power to effect real transformation. Like a resounding gong whose vibrations continue to be felt long after it's been struck, emotionally loaded statements reverberate within you, their echoes shaping your consciousness and laying the groundwork for change. The process is akin to training your brain, much like a muscle, with vivid and potent language continually reinforcing the pathways you wish to strengthen. It's important to note that this doesn't mean simply parading positive statements in your mind with the hope of transformation. The key lies in the genuineness of the emotions attached to them. Your brain is a discerning listener, and mere words without sincere emotional investment will ring hollow, their vibrations too weak to build lasting pathways. Genuine, fervent emotion is the currency with which you buy transformational change in the domain of self-talk. How does one then imbue their inner dialogue with such authentic emotional resonance? First, your self-statements must align with your deepest values and beliefs. When your words emanate from the very core of who you are and resonate with your most passionate convictions, they become irresistibly compelling to your psyche. It's a difference felt in the body. A statement that resonates with you may trigger a physical reaction, such as a rush of adrenaline, a warmth in your chest, or a sense of elation. These are the signs of effective, emotionally charged language, the evidence of resonance. Moreover, recall moments in your life that were dripping with emotion, the unstoppable pride of a personal achievement, the incandescent joy of a heartfelt reunion, the fiery passion of a defended belief. Weave the language of these experiences into your self-talk. By connecting past emotional triumphs to your present affirmations, you are drafting a blueprint of success for your brain to follow. Creating the strongest neural pathways for change also requires repetition. Much like a song can grow on you with enough listens, repeating your emotionally charged affirmations embeds them deeper within your mental framework. But be wary of monotony, for the mind can grow numb to even the most emotionally resonant statements if they become too routine. Vary the language, play with the intonation, and explore different facets of the emotion to keep the resonance alive and pulsating within you. In essence, the secret of resonance in self-talk is cultivating an internal environment where emotionally charged language can undulate freely and powerfully within you. Like tuning an instrument to perfection, it's the precise calibration of your words with your emotions that renders your affirmations most effective. When this calibration is achieved, your self-talk transcends mere thoughts and becomes a symphony of personal transformation, each note vibrating with purpose, intention, and heartfelt sentiment. To truly grasp the significance of resonance, consider how live music moves you compared to recorded songs. Live music envelopes you, permeates you, and if performed with passion, it can resonate with your soul, offering a transformative experience. Similarly, when your self-talk is emotionally charged, it becomes a live concert for the mind, with the potential to uplift, invigorate, and transform your internal narrative. It's no longer a passive track playing in the background. It's an actively engaging performance shaping your very being. Understanding and leveraging the power of resonance in self-talk unlocks the door to an inner domain where every word echoes with the potential for growth and transformation. In this domain, you're not just whispering affirmations into the void, you're orchestrating a vibrant and resonant dialogue that reverberates through the entirety of your being, paving avenues for profound and lasting change. Remember, the strength of neural pathways you build through self-talk is inextricably linked to the intensity and authenticity of the emotions with which they are imbued. Cultivating and sustaining this emotional charge requires honesty, practice, and passion. It's a path to discovering the secret harmonics within yourself, harnessing them to create a narrative that not only speaks of change but sings it into existence, one resonant affirmation at a time. Have you ever felt the electrifying charge of inspiration from a powerful phrase or the rush of positivity that comes from a compliment that hits home at just the right moment? Now imagine if you could tap into that potency at will, summoning waves of confidence and strength with nothing more than a few well-chosen words. This is the magic of resounding affirmations. By infusing our self-talk with emotionally charged language, we can create the strongest neural pathways for change, crafting a dedicated symphony that resonates with the very core of our being. Picture your mind as a vast network of highways, with thoughts racing to and fro like a never-ending stream of traffic. Each car, each thought, is headed to a destination, toward a belief, an emotion, or a reaction. Now imagine amidst this fast, flowing traffic, a convoy of bright, positive affirmations, words imbued with emotion, words that resonate deeply with who you are and who you yearn to become. These are not just any vehicles. They are limousines, each carrying a VIP message. Thanks to their emotional charge, they travel along these neural highways with priority, forming swift connections, creating new routes, and establishing themselves as the dominant travelers through sheer emotional resonance. Crafting these emotionally rich statements is an art in and of itself. It's about finding words that strike a chord, not just rationally but viscerally. It's saying, "I am capable," and feeling a shiver as you recognize the depth of your own potential. It's whispering, "I deserve happiness," and tearing up as you realize that this is a basic human right. It's looking yourself in the mirror and affirming, "I am worthy of love," and feeling a warmth spread through your chest because you know it to be an undeniable truth. But why is emotionally charged language so instrumental in creating lasting change? It's simple. Our brains are hardwired to respond to emotions. They signal importance, urgency, and value. When we anchor a thought with emotion, it's like setting off a flare in the neural landscape of our brain. The neurological response is instantaneous. The brain lights up, the memory sticks, and the association strengthens. Each emotionally driven affirmation is a beacon summoning a powerful response that galvanizes our entire cognitive apparatus into action. As these affirmations are repeated, they reinforce the pathway, becoming a well-traveled road to automatic and positive thought. There is a subtle alchemy at work when we formulate resounding affirmations. The secret lies not just in the words we choose, but in the sincere emotion we attach to those words. Consider the difference between monotonously saying, "I am successful," in the mirror, void of belief or passion, and declaring it with conviction, with every fiber of your being pulsating with the truth of the statement. The first is like casting pebbles into a pond, creating ripples that quickly fade. The latter is akin to a meteor's impact, creating waves that change the landscape forever. To harness this transformative form of self-talk, you need to dig deep to really understand what moves and motivates you. Start by identifying the emotions that drive you, what fills you with joy, sparks your passion, or instills a calm sense of purpose. Use these emotional keys to unlock a more resonant form of self-affirmation. Craft your phrases in a way that makes your heart sing or your spirit soar. Let the words tap into your deepest desire and mirror your highest self. And don't be misled. Crafting these affirmations isn't about fabricating emotions or lying to yourself. It is about recognizing and articulating the genuine feelings that already exist within you, those powerful forces that you may have neglected or suppressed. It's about creating a resonance between your conscious intentions and your subconscious beliefs. This congruence is where the transformative potential truly lies, as it enlists all aspects of your psyche in the pursuit of your goals. Of course, creating change isn't a one-shot deal. It's a process, a continuous practice that requires dedication and repetition. Think of your daily affirmations as a form of mental exercise akin to physical training. Just as muscles grow stronger and more defined with consistent workouts, your neural pathways for positive self-talk become more pronounced and effective with regular use. Over time, your resilient affirmations will become an ingrained part of your mental tapestry, altering not just your thoughts but your actions and reactions. Your emotionally charged affirmations evolve into self-fulfilling prophecies, positive feedback loops that encourage continued growth and development. Let's explore some practical ways to build and use these resounding affirmations. Start by setting aside a quiet moment each day for self-reflection. This could be first thing in the morning as you're setting the tone for your day, or last thing at night as you're winding down. Turn inward and focus on the areas of your life where you're seeking growth or change. Where do you need strength? What do you aspire to be? Now formulate your affirmations. They should be positive, present tense, and personal. They should resonate with your deepest desires and reflect your truest self. Use emotionally loaded words that vibrate with meaning for you. For instance, rather than saying, "I will be confident," power it up with, "I am a beacon of confidence, vibrant and unshakable." These moments of self-talk become the crucible within which you forge your psychological metal. With each repeated affirmation, you're actively participating in mental metallurgy, casting the iron will of your intentions in the fires of passionate belief and emerging with a resolute and powerful sense of self. So practice intoning your affirmations with feeling. Speak them, write them, sing them if you feel moved. Engage with them in whatever form gives them the most power. Reinforce the emotional weight behind the words by visualizing the reality they represent as vividly as possible. The more richly you can imagine the outcome, the deeper the emotional imprint on your psyche. When you recite, "I thrive in the face of challenges," imagine yourself navigating a demanding situation with poise and confidence. Feel the satisfaction of overcoming obstacles. Celebrate the triumph within your own mind and let those emotions soak into every word. Remember, what is said in the silent chambers of your mind echoes through the entirety of your life. Your words are the architect of your destiny. With each resonant affirmation, you're drawing up blueprints, laying foundations, and constructing the edifice of your future. It's a powerful creative act, and the emotional resonance of your words is the mortar that holds it all together. But don't expect these changes to materialize overnight. Just as Rome wasn't built in a day, neither is the fortress of your mind. Reinforcement is key. Each time you reinforce your resounding affirmations, you are confirming to yourself that this is who you are, this is what you believe, and this is what you're becoming. With steadfast repetition, the architecture of your thoughts and beliefs evolves, growing stronger and more defined. Such is the power of consistency, and such is the power of emotionally charged language. As you continue along this path, you'll notice subtle shifts. You'll find yourself reacting differently to challenges and setbacks. Instead of being your own harshest critic, you'll become your most enthusiastic supporter. Your inner voice will transform from a whisper of doubt to a chorus of confidence. As you resonate more deeply with your affirmations, the world around you begins to resonate with them too. Your actions will start reflecting your new beliefs, and as such, your reality will shift to mirror your internal transformation. So embrace the art of crafting resounding affirmations, those emotionally charged declarations that can reshape your world, affirming your worth, capabilities, and the unique value you bring to every facet of your life. Let these words be your companions. Hum along with their rhythm and watch as they set the melody for a life that resonates with success, happiness, and fulfillment. This is the power of your voice. This is the potency of your hearts. Language. Your resonant affirmations are the song of your soul. Sing them loud, sing them proud, and let them lead you to the extraordinary life you're meant to live. Chapter 5. Overcoming Inner Obstacles. Have you ever heard a whisper of doubt creep into your thoughts just as you were about to embark on something new or challenging? This voice, the inner skeptic, is a common resident in the minds of many. It's that part of us that seems to delight in questioning our capabilities, casting shadows of doubt where we seek clarity and confidence. It is an obstacle, yes, but not an insurmountable one. Overcoming the critics within requires conscious effort and strategy, but the fruits of such labor are sweet. The liberation from these mental chains can propel us towards personal freedom and achievement. The nature of these inner critics can be as diverse as our individual experiences. Some voice concerns steeped in logic, often based on past disappointments or failures. A sort of protective mechanism to keep us from potential harm. Others might come from deeper, murkier places within our psyche, echoes of criticism from our upbringing or the internalized negative speech we've heard from others that we've unwittingly adopted as our own. Recognizing the origin of these critical voices is the first step on the journey to silencing them. Once identified, we can begin the process of strategy and action, akin to a benevolent chess game against our own limiting thoughts. These strategies are not forceful confrontations but measured and mindful practices that gradually loosen the grip of skepticism on our psyche. One effective approach is to treat the inner critic like a concerned, albeit overbearing, friend. Acknowledge the voice without submission or conflict. Thank it for its input, After all, its fundamental aim is to protect you. Then calmly explain why you're choosing a different path. This diplomatic response to self-doubt establishes an understanding within your mind that, while caution can be valuable, it should not hinder forward movement and growth. Furthermore, the application of logic against illogical doubts can dismantle their foundations. The skeptics within frequently operate on exaggerated premises or unrealistic scenarios, amplifying risks and downplaying rewards. Employ critical thinking to dissect these premises and expose their flaws. Approach this with the precision of a scientist, neutrally, critically, yet without self-judgment. By breaking down the myths your inner critic propagates, you starve it of credibility, and it fades into silence. Cultivating mindfulness also plays a crucial role in overcoming mental barriers. By being fully present and aware, we can observe the ebb and flow of our thoughts without getting carried away by them. Mindfulness teaches us the art of detachment, seeing thoughts as separate from our core selves. In this space between thought and self, we find the power to choose which voices to engage with and which to let pass, like clouds across the vast sky of our inner world. Another transformative technique is the practice of reframing. This involves flipping the script of the inner critic, turning its negative evaluations into positive affirmations. For example, if the skeptic within insists you are not good enough to succeed, reframe it to say, "I am capable and prepared, and I will give my best to succeed." This reframing not only silences the critic but also boosts your self-esteem with positive reinforcement. As we hone in on these different strategies, embracing vulnerability becomes inevitable. Being vulnerable is often mistakenly associated with weakness, yet it is a profound strength. It involves exposing the doubts and fears we harbor to the daylight of our awareness, and in doing so, we often find that they lose their power over us. This act of exposure requires courage, but it is through such bravery that true transformation occurs. It's crucial to recognize that although we work to silence the inner skeptic, it may never completely vanish, and that's okay. It's part of our human complexity. However, by regularly practicing these empowering techniques, the critic's voice becomes quieter and less influential over time. It transforms from a loud, overbearing force into a whisper that can barely be heard above the symphony of supportive and motivational dialogue we've cultivated. Making these shifts in how we deal with our inner skeptics isn't a flippant change. It's akin to rewiring the very circuitry of our thought processes. It's a journey that requires persistence, patience, and forgiveness towards ourselves. Forgiveness is necessary because there will be moments when, despite our best efforts, the critic seems to win. In those times, it's important to be compassionate with ourselves and recognize the setback as part of the path, not a reason to abandon it. The strategies articulated here are like the tools in a gardener's shed, each with a purpose to aid in the cultivation of a healthy, flourishing mind. The garden of our thoughts can be a beautiful sanctuary, but it's up to us to tend to it, rooting out the weeds of skepticism that seek to choke our potential. With practice, our internal critic's impact diminishes, and we can proceed with a clear path to plant new seeds of positive self-dialogue, nurturing them into sturdy beliefs that will uplift and support us in all our endeavors. Picture, if you will, a prisoner who has lived behind invisible bars for years, unknowingly holding the key to their own shackles. As with this prisoner, many of us live with self-imposed limitations that shape our existence in subtle yet profound ways. However, the moment we recognize and utilize the power of assertive self-dialogue, we initiate a liberating process that can dramatically transform our lives. Now, this transformative journey demands bravery. It requires us to confront what are often long-standing, deep-rooted beliefs about ourselves and our capabilities. These limiting beliefs, ideas that we aren't good enough, intelligent enough, or simply enough, act as the bars that keep us contained in a cell of our own making. As we delve into the art of breaking these chains, it's essential to realize that the process is not about ignoring or dismissing our negative thoughts are often seen as unworthy, but rather than facing and reframing them, we approach these stubborn mental roadblocks with assertive self-dialogue. Only by doing so can we begin to dismantle them. Assertive self-dialogue is a practice akin to learning a new language, one that expresses not how we currently see ourselves, but how we aspire to be. Our self-perception has a way of adapting to the words we repeatedly say to ourselves. Thus, the dialogue we engage in internally acts as a sculptor's tool, carving out our character and self-esteem with every stroke. By employing affirmative language with conviction, our self-talk has the power to reshape our cognitive landscape, breaking apart limiting beliefs and replacing them with newfound strengths and aspirations. Implementing this practice begins with acknowledging, at a core level, that you are the author of your mental script and that you can revise it. The negative statements that loop in our minds, like, "I can't handle this," or "I'm not good enough," stem from various sources: past failures, criticism from others, or the vicarious experiences we inherit from society. Time we buy into these negative thoughts with our attention, they bolster the walls of our mental prison. Conversely, assertive self-dialogue provides us with a hammer and chisel to chip away at these walls. Rather than becoming ensnared by a pessimistic narrative, we can assert, "I am capable and equipped to handle this," or "I am continually growing and improving." In effect, we can replace a stream of negatives with a flowing litany of positives, actively constructing a new empowering narrative day by day. To truly break the chains of a limiting belief, one cannot merely oppose it. One must displace it with a belief that is not only positive but also plausible. A key part of this practice is to find evidence from your personal history that supports this new narrative. Every success, every compliment, and every instance when you have triumphed or simply endured can be evidence of your capability and worthiness. An assertive internal dialogue includes reminders that the past does not dictate the future and that capability is not a fixed attribute but a quality that can expand with effort and experience. The act of initiating assertive self-dialogue may be challenging at first. It might even feel awkward or insincere to speak to oneself with boldness and encouragement. However, with repetition, the feelings of discomfort will ease as the assertive voice becomes familiar and ultimately trusted. Cultivating this voice means speaking to oneself with the same support and kindness one would offer a dear friend. By speaking to ourselves in this manner, firm, positive, and compassionate, we are not just silencing the critics within, we are changing the very fabric of our self-conception. The effect of this practice over time is profound. Each assertive statement becomes a link in a new chain, one that connects our present selves to the fulfilling future we are actively constructing. With each link, our old self-image loosens its grip, and the narrative built on self-doubt and hesitation is replaced with one of confidence and action. As with any habit, the key to success lies in consistency. Just as negative self-talk consolidated its power through repetition over many years, so too must positive assertive self-dialogue be repeated until it becomes ingrained and automatic. The doubting inner critic may raise its head periodically, questioning the legitimacy of this new self-talk. After all, transformation is not without its layers of challenge and resistance. Yet those moments serve as opportunities to further practice assertiveness and to reaffirm our commitment to self-compassion and progress. Saying, "I choose to believe in myself," every time a doubt arises is a conscious act of defiance against the old limiting narrative. The personal liberation that comes from breaking the chains of limiting beliefs through assertive self-dialogue is akin to freeing oneself from a dimly lit room and stepping out into the sunlight. In light of newfound freedom, possibilities that were once dismissed as improbable may now appear within reach. The chains of doubt that kept one anchored in familiar discomfort dissolve in the face of an internal voice that insists on potential and growth. In essence, the practice of assertive self-dialogue is an act of self-liberation. It is an ongoing dynamic journey that requires dedication, patience, and courage. Through it, you learn to extract the very essence of what holds you back, turning it instead into a driving force for progress. Each assertive word reinforces your resilience, each sentence carves out the future you, and each conversation you have with yourself puts another crack in the walls that once defined your limitations. By embracing assertive self-dialogue, you don't merely remove the chains of limiting beliefs, you forge a new armor of self-assurance that protects and empowers you as you engage with the world around you. Chapter 6. The Art of Self-Perception. Do you ever stop to ponder the power of your own reflection? Not merely the image you see in the mirror, the deep mirrored expression of your self-esteem through the words and phrases you whisper to yourself each day. These whispers, these strands of self-talk, weave the fabric of how we view ourselves and can bolster or undermine our sense of self-worth. Self-esteem is like a garden within us, where our thoughts are the seeds and our self-talk is the sunlight and water that nurture those seeds. Some will grow into blossoms of confidence, while others may funnel into weeds of self-doubt, depending on the tone of our inner dialogue. Consider for a moment how the steadfastness of a mountain is unshaken by the changing weather around it. Similarly, a solid self-esteem grounded in constructive self-talk remains unshaken by the external fluctuations of daily life. The language we deploy in our internal conversations has the power to reinforce our resilience. Sturdy self-esteem stems from affirming our intrinsic worth, recognizing our strengths, and responding to our own vulnerabilities with compassion and support. It's like constructing an internal fortress that serves as a sanctuary for our well-being. Let's delve into how to cultivate this internal haven. It all begins with becoming acutely aware of the messages we're broadcasting to ourselves. Much like a radio frequency that can be tuned to different stations, our minds can tune into various trains of thought. Some frequencies resonate with encouragement and aspiration, while others resonate with self-doubt and despondency. By tuning into and enhancing the positive frequencies, we master the skill of fostering a self-reinforcing loop of uplifting self-perception. The practice of nurturing positive self-talk, that is, the statements that reinforce the belief in our own capabilities and value, is akin to a sculptor chipping away at a block of marble, gradually revealing a masterpiece within. With each intentional thought, with each chosen word that espouses kindness towards oneself, we carve out a stronger, more self-assured version of ourselves. The sculpting process is not without its challenges. Naturally, negative thoughts, much like persistent weeds, may pop up from time to time. Counteracting these with deliberate positive phrases is akin to pulling out those weeds from our mental garden, allowing room for more constructive beliefs to flourish. Confronting thoughts like, "I'm not talented enough," with the truth of past accomplishments and abilities, with phrases such as, "I am skilled and have succeeded before," reinforces the image of self-competence. It solidifies the understanding that one misstep does not define the journey. Rather, it is but a single brush stroke on a much larger canvas. Another method to enhance self-esteem through self-talk arises from visualizing personal achievements. Imagine, if you will, that you're the hero in your own tale, and recounting your life story becomes a daily ritual. Highlight the hurdles you've overcome, the dragons you've slain, figuratively speaking, and you'll begin to see a thread of resilience woven through your narrative. Affirming these achievements through self-talk reinforces a self-image that is tough, resourceful, and triumphing over adversities. Moreover, the magnetic pull of our beliefs plays a crucial role in shaping reality, as our thoughts inform our actions. Believing in our capacity to achieve our goals is like placing our hands on the steering wheel of destiny. It keeps us poised in the driver's seat, navigating through life's winding roads with the confidence that we possess the agency to reach our desired destination. This assertive stance involves recognizing one's own worth and abilities and advocating for one's needs and goals, both internally through self-talk and externally through actions. Yet, I wish to strike a note of balance. Authentic self-esteem doesn't inflate into arrogance but rather grounds itself in reality. It's recognizing that being human entails possessing a blend of strengths and opportunities for growth. It's steering the internal narration away from unrealistic self-exaltation and also from harsh self-criticism, finding that harmonious middle where you can acknowledge your virtues and work on your challenges with equal parts fervor and grace. Let's also consider the ripples of our inner dialogue on our social interactions. Our thoughts are the architects of our demeanor, shaping how we carry ourselves and how we relate to others. When we nurture a positive internal conversation, we broadcast a more confident and approachable persona, which in turn can reinforce positive feedback from our social environment. It's like a dance where the rhythm of our thoughts leads the steps we take in relation to others. Thus, the practice of using self-talk to mold a positive and resilient self-image is an art of fine calibration. It requires the tactful modulation of self-perception, where we learn to extend the same understanding and encouragement to ourselves that we would offer to a close friend. In realizing the profound relationship between our thoughts and our sense of self, we unlock the potential to sculpt a self-image that serves as both a refuge and a launchpad, a secure base from where we can aspire and achieve, undeterred by the ebb and flow of life's tides. This art isn't learned overnight, and you'll discover that it's an ongoing journey rather than a destination. Much like a skilled gardener, you must tend to your internal landscape with dedication and patience. Celebrating small victories, reflecting on lessons from setbacks, and above all, practicing consistent, kind-hearted self-talk will gradually shape a self-esteem that stands tall and unwavering, even amidst life's inevitable storms. Remember, it is within your power to shape the tone and substance of the conversations within your own mind. By fostering thoughts that reinforce a holistic, positive self-image, you are not merely chipping away at the marble block of your current self. You are skillfully crafting the person you are continuously becoming. So, let the whispers of encouragement and affirmation be the chisel and mallet in your hand as you bring forth the masterpiece of your truest, most resilient self. When we talk about cultivating confidence, we're delving into the art of self-perception and how our internal monologue can champion our self-assurance. The dialogue that scurries through our minds has the capacity to uplift as surely as it can undermine. It's the silent, often subconscious conversation we have with ourselves about who we are, what we're capable of, and how we relate to the world around us. Confidence, at its heart, isn't an innate quality bestowed upon a fortunate few. It's a cultivated state of being, a garden grown within the nurturing soil of positive self-talk. Imagine your inner voice as a personal coach, one that's with you day in and day out. This coach can either be your greatest advocate or a demoralizing critic, the difference lying in the language it employs. A supportive inner voice uses the language of encouragement, pointing out the things you did right, gently guiding you through mistakes, and reinforcing your worth and capabilities. On the contrary, a negative monologue might focus on faults and failings, creating a self-image mired in doubt and hesitance. The transition from critic to coach isn't just beneficial, it's essential for those seeking to harvest the fruit of genuine self-confidence. The power of encouragement in sculpting our self-perception is monumental. The act of internal encouragement isn't about glossing over flaws or inflating the ego undeservedly. Rather, it's the steady process of acknowledging your worth, reinforcing your strengths, and addressing weaknesses with compassion and a resolve to improve. This encouraging self-talk fosters an environment where confidence can take root and flourish. But how do we begin to nurture this favorable environment within our minds? One of the most practical steps in developing a supportive inner voice is to recognize and reframe the negative scripts that often play out. "I can't do this" might be a common refrain during times of challenge. By intervening in that moment and reassessing the situation, your inner voice can shift the narrative to, "This is tough, but I have overcome difficulties before, and I have learned from them." This doesn't deny the difficulty. Instead, it asserts your capability and resilience, cornerstones of confidence. Moreover, the repetition of these positive scripts is not unlike chanting a powerful mantra. Over time, the constant repetition begins to weave these affirmations into the very fabric of your belief system. Each repetition acts as a brick in the edifice of self-assurance you're constructing. It might begin with a mind skeptically inspecting each positive statement, testing it for veracity. Yet, with time, these statements become second nature, and the mind accepts them as truth, allowing the building blocks of confidence to settle into place. An incontestable truth is that our emotions play a crucial role in how we internalize messages. To leverage this in forging greater self-confidence, we can attach emotions to our self-affirming statements, supercharging them in the process. Imagine saying, "I am competent," with a sense of pride swelling in your chest, or "I am resilient," while recalling a surge of triumph after rebounding from a setback. By emotionally charging our self-talk, we create vibrant neural pathways more readily able to transcend our usual patterns of doubt and fear. Occasionally, during this process of nurturing self-assurance, you may encounter moments where the old, disparaging voice attempts to overpower the new, supportive one. It's at these junctions that you must consciously choose which voice to amplify. Picture the negative thoughts as a dimmer switch that you have control over. Gradually, by consistently opting for the positive and encouraging voice, you decrease the power and influence of the negative internal dialogue. It's also critical to extend this paradigm to how you internalize external feedback. If someone comments on your capabilities, rather than immediately downplaying their observation, pause and consider validating their perspective with your internal response. Maybe they're right, and I am skilled in this area. Such orientation toward acceptance of positive feedback further sustains the inner encouragement that's crucial to confidence. Incorporating this technique into daily life can be as simple as consciously directing your self-talk upon waking each morning. As you face your reflection, offer words of encouragement. Whether facing a day of mundane tasks or daunting challenges, anchor your self-talk in the belief of your capability to handle whatever comes. This process transcends mere routine. It's a deeply personal ritual that fortifies the self for the day ahead. Moreover, celebrating small victories is an important aspect of building self-assurance. It reinforces the power of positive self-talk. Accomplishing a task, no matter the size, provides an opportunity to commend yourself. Take a moment, savor the success, and let your inner voice remind you of your efficacy. This practice not only bolsters your current sense of achievement but can also serve as a touchstone for future instances where confidence may waver. We must also mindfully curate the environment we live in, surrounding ourselves with people and media that align with our values and foster our sense of self-worth. The conversations we engage in, the books we read, and the shows we consume all contribute to the internal dialogue that subsequently forms. If we steep our surroundings in positivity and stories of resilience and hope, we feed the coach within, strengthening the inner voice that spurs us toward confidence. To sum up, the art of self-perception and the cultivation of confidence through inner encouragement is a transformative journey. Each step, be it reframing negative thoughts, emotionally charging affirmations, accepting positive feedback, or celebrating small triumphs, leads to a more self-assured individual. It isn't a journey without its challenges, but with intentional practice, the destination, a profound and resilient sense of self-confidence, is well within reach. The echoes of your internal encouragement will reverberate through your actions and interactions, painting your world with the hues of self-belief, ensuring that you not only dare to dream but also have the confidence to turn those dreams into reality. Chapter 7. Integration into daily life, living your truth. The words themselves seem to carry a weight of authenticity, don't they? They suggest a congruence between your deepest values and daily actions. But how often do we truly live our truth? How often do we allow that positive inner dialogue we've been cultivating to spill over into the moments that make up our busy days? The answer is hidden in the practical exercise of integrating positive self-talk into every corner of our daily lives. So, let's span this bridge together, taking the powerful practice of positive self-talk out of the realm of theory and firmly rooting it in the concrete experiences of each day. Imagine this. The alarm clock sounds its morning call as the crisp reality of a new day brushes against your consciousness. Your mind might typically dive into an inner monologue that's less than kind. You might berate yourself for feeling tired, for not getting up earlier, or for the daunting day ahead. But what if, instead, the first words that blossom in your mind are laced with kindness and support? Today is a vibrant new opportunity, or, I have the strength to handle whatever comes my way, could become your morning mantras. By consciously choosing positive affirmations as you wake, you align your emotional compass to point toward optimism and resilience right from the start. This might sound idealistic, perhaps even a tad impractical, but the beauty of self-talk, much like any skill, is that it can be honed by repetitive, mindful practice. It's about creating pathways in your daily routine for supportive self-dialogue to occur. Consider the myriad activities that segment your day: eating breakfast, commuting to work, attending meetings, or doing chores. Each can become a catalyst for reinforcing your commitment to positive self-talk. While enjoying breakfast, gently remind yourself that you're fueling your body with what it needs to thrive. During your commute, instead of yielding to frustration about the traffic, you can use that time to express gratitude for the opportunity to have a moment of reflection before the rush of the day. At work, where challenges are as plentiful as opportunities, positive self-talk becomes an invaluable tool. Before a meeting, a quiet moment focusing on statements like, "I am competent and prepared," can dissipate anxiety. When faced with criticism, instead of the automatic self-defensive negativity, try transforming that into a moment of growth with thoughts such as, "I am open to learning and improving." In doing so, you're not just pacifying your ego, you're establishing an internal environment where constructive feedback nurtures professionalism and personal development. Within interpersonal relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, our inner dialogue drastically affects our perception and actions. When engaging with others, ensure your self-talk reaffirms your worth and promotes understanding. For instance, if you're feeling misunderstood, guide your internal response from, "They always misunderstand me," to, "I can communicate my thoughts clearly and listen to understand their perspective." By doing so, you consciously foster a climate where relationships can flourish on the foundation of mutual respect and self-assuredness. Even seemingly insignificant daily tasks can become platforms for reinforcing positive self-talk. As you clean, organize, or exercise, each action can be coupled with an empowering statement. A clean living space might prompt the thought, "I am creating a peaceful and orderly environment for myself." Finishing a run could be celebrated with, "I am proud of myself for pushing through and strengthening my body." Each task, no matter how small, contributes to the grander narrative of your life and is an opportunity to applaud yourself for your efforts and achievements. However, let's not overlook the tricky spots. The instances when stress creeps in, when things go awry, or when fatigue saps your spirit. It's in these challenging moments that your practice of self-talk is truly tested. Instead of succumbing to a natural negativity bias, pivot toward compassionate, constructive self-speech. In times of stress, take deep breaths and employ calming thoughts like, "I can navigate through this with composure." When mistakes happen, as they inevitably will, remind yourself, mistakes are part of growth. I will learn from this and move forward. This doesn't eliminate the difficulty of the situation, but it does change the way you experience and respond to it. Let's not forget the smallest moments, the pauses between tasks, the waiting in line, the quiet before sleep. These often overlooked pauses can become nurturing soil for planting seeds of positive self-talk. Use these moments to reinforce your self-esteem and focus on aspirations, turning idle time into a garden of empowering reflection. Remember, integrating positive self-talk into your daily life is not about perfection, it's about progression. It's understandable if, at times, old patterns of negative self-dialogue creep back in. These moments aren't failures but reminders of the need for conscious effort. Recognize them, gently guide your thoughts back on track, and celebrate the fact that you're becoming more attuned to your internal narrative. As you advance in this practice, you'll likely notice subtle shifts in your mindset, your emotional resilience, and even in the achievement of your goals. By marrying your inner voice with your outward actions, you harmonize your life with the truth you wish to live. Each positive statement you repeat anchors itself a little deeper into your subconscious, steadily transforming your reality, one thought at a time. This is the enduring power of positive self-talk, an invisible yet profound agent of change in your everyday existence. Conclusion. Embarking on the journey of intentional self-talk is like setting sail on a vast ocean. With each wave of words, each ripple of reassurance, and every gust of positive phrases, you've navigated through the churning waters of self-doubt and sailed toward the horizon of self-belief. Remember, the echo of your voice is the architect of your reality. Every affirmation is a brick, every compassionate whisper the mortar, constructing the resilient stronghold of your self-esteem. Throughout this voyage, we've explored the intricate relationship between our internal conversation and the world we experience. Crafting positive narratives, we've reframed the undercurrents of our thoughts to support rather than undermine our aspirations. We've learned that the language of the mind is powerful, capable of shaping emotions and behaviors in profound ways. We've discovered that self-talk isn't merely about what we tell ourselves. It's about how we listen, how we respond, and most importantly, how we act upon these dialogues. In the earlier chapters, we equipped ourselves with the understanding that our brains process and react to the words we feed them. A vital part of this process was recognizing the types of self-talk, both constructive and destructive, and their influences on our emotional fabric. Shaping positive narratives from negative thought patterns involved mastering the art of reflection and redirection, a skill that serves as a platform for emotional resilience and cognitive flexibility. The mirror of the mind showed us the importance of exercising this skill like any other muscle. Techniques like mantras and daily affirmations helped us build a more supportive and motivational inner voice. Like an artist with words as their brushstrokes, we learned to paint our internal landscape with hues of encouragement, perseverance, and reality intertwined with hope. As we delved deeper into the rhythm of reinforcement, the role of consistency in our self-dialogue became clear. Creating cues and rituals for positive self-talk turned sporadic moments of kindness into a soundtrack of self-assurance that played on loop in the background of our daily lives. We grew attuned to the symphony of self, understanding that the tone, tempo, and volume of our internal voice profoundly affect our sense of self-worth and empowerment. In the keystone of transformation, the secret of resonance was unraveled. Emotionally charged language not only illuminates the path but forges it, creating strong neural pathways for change. Resounding affirmations reverberate against the walls of our consciousness, cementing beliefs and empowering us to act in ways that echo our deepest truths. With a fortified sense of self, we approached overcoming inner obstacles, prepared to counter the inner critic and push past mental blocks. By learning strategies to silence skepticism and overcome mental roadblocks, we unlocked a level of liberation previously hindered by limiting self-beliefs. Breaking the chains of our past narratives, we embraced a more assertive self-dialogue that reaffirmed our right to growth and fulfillment. Reflecting on the art of self-perception, we saw firsthand how self-talk can be used to mold a positive and resilient self-image. Encouraging courage and self-assurance through inner encouragement has allowed us to step out of the shadows of our doubts and into the light of self-recognition. The self-image we sculpt through our words is not a mere portrait but a living, breathing sculpture that moves and adapts with us. Integration into daily life was about bringing this empowering companion outward, into our interactions, goals, and challenges. Practical applications of positive self-talk transformed the way we approach everyday situations. The narrative we maintained within ourselves began to reverberate in our relationships, work, and even the pursuit of our passions. We took stock of our progress, celebrated our milestones, and recognized that maintaining momentum is an enduring process. Now, as we draw the curtain on this transformational practice of intentional self-talk, we catch a glimpse of how the words we've whispered, declared, and chanted have sculpted the present and painted the vistas of our future.